Well, hello again from the San Siro. Now I might have to make this quick because I do have a steward hovering just over my shoulder there. He's a very nice man, but he is giving me the old Dewey Minuti. So 0-0. And the debate really is the validity of the point. Now the point in isolation is very good. Would Newcastle have settled for that coming here beforehand? Absolutely. Against a Milan team who played well. They were very good. But, and this was a question which was put to Eddie in the press conference just downstairs before there, did Newcastle ride the luck? Now, Eddie denied that. He said that he thought that was a negative take on his team's performance, but I thought it was fair enough. And the reason I say that is because without Nick Pope in the first half, who's made 7 saves, 5 of them I think came in a 6 or 7 minute period, it probably is 0 points instead of 1. So they have been fortunate in that regard. But can both things be true? Can you both be lucky and play well from a defensive perspective? Yes, but I still think that the team on a whole offensively just isn't clicking now. We can't forget that this was a Milan side who shipped 5 here against Inter Milan on Saturday. Coming into the game, they were talking about Milan being in crisis. They got absolutely panned in the press yesterday. Yet they came here and they were, their manager Stefano Pioli has said that they were the much better side, and I can see why he said that. They had far better ideas, better energy than Newcastle, certainly going forward, but they were in the second half met with resistance, and for that Newcastle do deserve credit. Now we'll probably finish these reflections outside when we'll go into a little bit more depth, but I couldn't not give you a quick glance at the San Siro. Okay, see you in a couple of minutes. I do apologise for the break in play, but my not so friendly steward was shouting, Andiamo, we go. I mean, we go where, pal? Got a video to do, but the answer is we go here, which, if I'm being honest, it's not too bad, is it? There's worse places to wander around and have a chat about football, so we'll continue. Now, I'll probably repeat myself a little bit here, but just to go back to the points I made, I was slightly put off by his imposing presence, given he was up above me as well. Now, I've always said to you guys, I'm someone who, when I come to analyse games, I like to look beyond the results. Yes, it's a results business, ultimately, of course it is, but performances are an indicator of future results, and that's where I like to focus on. And that, for me, there tonight, while you can attach all of the narrative to it, of it being Newcastle's first game back in the Champions League after 20 years, coming to a place, Eddie Howe used the word, intimidating, hostile, all of that is right, of course it is, and you can draw from that the fact that it is a good result, yes, but the performance wasn't there again, was it? And there's just something not quite right with Newcastle at the moment in that regard. It's not the team we have come to know, and the performances we've come to expect under Eddie Howe, going forward especially. Howe did make that admission with us, at least. He said, they could have used the ball better, and he was disappointed in terms of that. But I would go beyond that. They're very predictable in attack at the moment. Alexander Isak is becoming an issue, perhaps not in himself as much just yet, but certainly in the team and in the way in which the team use him and get the ball to him and put him in positions where he can damage the opponent. At the moment he just doesn't look like doing that at all. The wingers, yes, Anthony Gordon continues to work hard, and you'd say he's a player who is in good form, but he had 1 or 2 little openings tonight, and after doing the hard work, so to speak, he then the final ball isn't there. On the other side, who was playing on the other side? Yeah, Jacob Murphy. Well, there you go. I like Jacob Murphy a lot, but again, you've got Jacob Murphy coming in for such a huge Champions League game. Never lets the team down, and he didn't again tonight. But is that really where Newcastle should be at after all that summer investment in the Champions League club? Now, I necessarily don't think so. Which brings us on to the point which I've written about and the point I've spoken about over and over again. Newcastle's midfield. For me, it's the overriding reason. I've mentioned the forward players there, but it is the overriding reason as to why they're performing the way they are right now. And I've written in the Daily Mail tomorrow, I was tasked with writing a piece about the obvious subject, and that was Sandro Tonali. And I've been fairly kind, I think, to Tonali so far, because other than the opening day of the season against Aston Villa, when he was tremendous, that was a snapshot, a glimpse of what player he will be. There is talent which resides there. You've only got to see the reception he got here from the Milan fans to know how much he can impact on a club. And that tells you he's a quality player of pedigree. He was absolutely key as they went to the Champions League semi-finals last year. On the opening day of the season, we saw that for Newcastle. Have we seen it since? No. Honestly, no. And I think now Tonali's becoming a little bit of an issue for Eddie Howe, because I watched him there tonight and I said, I was tasked with writing about him, so rather than watching 22 players as you normally do when you're writing a match report, I was able to train my eyes on Tonali for the majority of his 72 minutes on the pitch. And I'll be honest, I'm not here to keep people happy. He didn't play well. I don't think he did play well. He jogged too much. He didn't run as hard as he perhaps can, or certainly should do. There was one or two occasions where Ruben Loftus-Cheek escaped on his shoulder, and there was a little bit of an inquest afterwards. There didn't seem to be that urgency to get back. And then it's just, the issue we come back to with Tonali and Bruno. They just, at the moment, they cannot play together in the same team. I don't know what Tonali's role is. I thought he was being brought in as a Newcastle needed the dominator in the summer. They didn't need a decorator, and at the moment Tonali's just little flashes here and there. What was his best work out there tonight? It was a couple of surges down the left wing. In terms of what he actually did in midfield, it was close to nothing really. And yes, okay, of course he will be given loads of time in the Premier League to adapt, and we've seen on the opening day what he can bring, but that there tonight, that's the San Siro in the Champions League. That is his domain. I expected to see a whole lot more, and I don't really buy the idea of the emotion and him being afforded what I thought was an off night because of everything attached around coming back to Milan. Not at all. If anything, that should inspire you. If you're a really top player, you go out there and you thrive and you prove a point to everyone. He's got a point to prove, but you just go there and you show everyone what a good player you are. You should rise to the occasion. And I thought, for all the reception he got was so noisy, what followed was a subdued performance. And what does Eddie Howe do with him and Bruno going forward? Well, the best midfielder there tonight was Sean Longstaff, and you go by week on week, and you made this sort of joke before, haven't I, that players who aren't in the team when the team isn't playing well always have some of their better games, and Joe Willock is having a great game every week at the moment as well. I think it's being brought home just how much they miss the intent of his running. Joe Willock starts running, doesn't stop in games, but he runs in the right areas as well. He drags opponents out of position. At the moment, Newcastle's midfielders aren't doing that. They're too static. I used that word before, predictable. They are the reason that the side as a whole, for me, it's not joining together, and there isn't that little spark there. So yeah, that all sounds a bit negative, I know, but you just want to give your thoughts, your overriding thoughts on the game leaving here. Maybe when you analyse a little bit more tomorrow and watch some of the highlights back and reflect and read around it, I might change my opinion. But no, that's certainly what I felt walking out of here. But I'm going to give you some positives as well, and the massive one is Nick Pope. Pope often gets himself into trouble with his feet, but his hands really can bail the team out, and that tonight there was one such occasion when they really needed him. And I say in the first half he made some magnificent saves. On the back of the disappointment of being dropped by England, to come here tonight on a big occasion, I thought he really stepped up. He wasn't the only good performer. Kieran Trippier was 33 today, and wow, how about that for a test up against Rafa Leao, one of the quickest wingers in Europe. Trippier showed that there's plenty of life and plenty of legs left in him yet. I thought he was brilliant, especially in the second half. I've already touched on Longstaff. I thought he was the pick of the midfield three. I will do my pink merit marks. And Sven Botman as well at the back. Botman and Shaw were very good, and I come back to that point in the second half. You can't say they were wonderful in the first half because they coughed up so many chances, and Milan still had a total of 25 efforts on goal. So what was the reason for that? It probably comes back to that protection afforded by the midfield again. I think Eddie's really got some thinking to do. Problem is, Joe Willock is injured, as we just said, and Joe Linton is still a few weeks away from coming back. So yeah, a bit of a mixed night all in all, but a great trip. Walking around outside the stadium before the kickoff. Sorry, it was quite surreal in many ways just to finally be here covering Newcastle United in the Champions League, when you think of the strides they have made in such a short space of time. And that as well has got to be, that perspective has got to be applied to tonight. They're back here, they haven't been beaten. You can spin it a number of different ways. Number one, I'd have Nick Pope. I think that's an easy one for all the reasons discussed. So Nick Pope gets my 3 stars. Sean Longstaff, considering I think he was in the midfield, those alongside him didn't give him a lot of help. I thought he outran all of them. I thought Sean was key in the second half of that midfield resistance. I'll give Sean Longstaff 2 stars. and it's a toss-up really between Kieran Trippier and Sven Botman for the 1 star. So I'll do what Alan Oliver and John Gibson used to do sometimes. I'm going to give 2 players 1 star, Kieran Trippier and Sven Botman. So there you go. Now, in the description below here, you can find the link through to the piece I've written about Sandro Tonali. I also put Ian Ladyman's match report in there. And thanks, guys, for the last few days. We've had loads of great content across all the mail platforms. It's been a real pleasure to bring you these videos. Thanks for the feedback as well. You know, so some really good comments, some really good debate goes on below the line, which you can't always say on all forms of social media. So we'll have one last little spin of the San Siro there behind us. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll see you again at the weekend ahead of the trip down to Sheffield United. Okay, take care, guys. See you soon. Bye bye.